Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom. We have another full moon, and I'm going to do a full moon reading for you. And just for those who are new, really to explain, this is working with the real star constellations. And this is very important to understand that this is not the Western tropical astrology, which in fact has nothing to do with the current star constellations. So what you see here is the outer ring shows the real stars, and the inner ring as a reference is the Western astrology. So you can also easily see here the difference, and the difference actually is 28 degrees. You know that every 72 years, the movement of the zodiac that is moving forward is 1 degree. So this is why we talk about the big solar year of 26 or 25,920 years. This is every 72 years, 1 degree is passing. So what I'm doing here, I'm working with the real star constellation as you can see them in the sky right now. So the Western astrology has in fact nothing to do with real star constellations. Okay, so said this, what is very important for me, because some people don't get the difference and wonder why I talk about other signs. And I also want to mention maybe that the Vedic astrology, Indian Vedic astrology is, I think, 6 degrees apart from the real constellations. So it's also not Vedic, the word actually means star constellation, real stars, but also the Vedic astrology is not correct anymore. Now, what you can see always, we have a moon and sun opposition, what we call the full moon. And the sun here is in Aquarius and the moon is in Leo. When just to as a reference in Western astrology, the sun would be in Pisces and the moon in Virgo. So you can see for yourself that is a very, very different topic that we have here. So the sun in Aquarius is like still a lot of stuff coming in, explosive. And you have seen in the last couple of weeks that a lot of explosive things have happened in the world, and a lot of also breaking news, we can say, have been coming up, and you can see that the whole world picture of the cabal is crumbling now, and it is really in the last kind of steps in the moment, we can say. The moon in Leo, and we have here also, we have a square that's going to Mars in Taurus. And when we look at the world horoscope, as I do it here for London, so that we have more or less a clear picture for the whole world. In Leo here with Mars in Taurus and here Aquarius, we have 3 elements here involved. We can see that everything what has been kind of more or less created by male energies, manifested by male energies now in 12th house, are slowly vanishing. Remember the 12th house, the meaning of the 12th house is that when we are dead, we are in a realm beyond our 3D, and Pisces as the last sign will help us to get ready for the new life. So when Mars and Taurus here and Gemini afterwards is in 12th house, it means that everything what we know, everything what has been created under that male dominance will go away. And here then we have the AC also in Gemini. That means that new knowledge, new wisdom is coming up, which is also confirmed because the ruler of the AC is Mercury here in Aquarius. This is again all that new stuff that is coming in, that is hitting us in a way, in a very difficult way, and it will go on a little bit longer. because we can also see here when the sun is afterwards moving into Pisces, that then we have an invisible realm that it's happening we cannot see. But now this is still that all that shocking information, that shocking news, it's like bang, bang, bang is happening in the moment. And with the moon in Leo here, we have a call actually to be strong, to stand up. It is very important to understand the sequence of the planets. When we have fire, we have Aries as the beginning, we have Leo as the top, the peak in a way, and then Sagittarius is the way back. It's the end of the circle. So in Aries, we have here Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius, here with the Sun, Mercury, Saturn. That means that a whole new paradigm is happening now. A whole new shift into something that is not yet manifest, but that we can manifest in the realm of our, we can say fantasy, yes, because fantasy, what is possible, you can fantasize. Whatever you can fantasize is possible on one or another way. So when we look at this constellation here, that is Uranus actually is making a trine to the moon. So here we find the key. And the key is like, if I am strong and settled within myself, the king here, then I am able to withstand all these difficulties that are coming to us in the moment. And this is the key. This is actually the main key of the situation in the moment with the sun in Aquarius. Our consciousness is constantly bombarded with new energies. We also have, if you look at the Schumann resonance, if you look at other solar flares, etc., you can see that it is exceptional in the moment, and that something is happening. Something is happening on not just one level, but on all levels. And I mean material, that is the body, the physical realm. We have emotional, mental, and spiritual shifting into another gear. It's really literally like the whole planet Earth is being shifted into a higher gear. And of course, especially within our bodies, we will have some problems because, you know, I can explain it with a wire. If you have a wire for a 220 or 110 volts gadget, the wire has a certain size. If you have a little wire for your headphones or whatever, the wire is thinner. And if you have a wire for 380 volt or 2000 volt, whatever, the wire is thicker. And that's exactly, we are like wired to a certain frequency. Now the wire has to change that the new frequency can come in. That means that our body, our physical cells and the whole body has to shift into a different density, that we can receive the new energies that are now incoming on the planet Earth. So this is like, if you have the moon in Leo, this is like knowing inside, deep inside, that everything will be okay, that everything will move forward in the way that it's supposed to. But as MC on the goal shows in Pisces with Neptune, so double Pisces, we cannot see it now. And what is really important to understand is you don't know what you don't know. And we cannot know. So if we try to project from our past experience into the future, it won't work, because what is coming is different. But if we are going into our intuition, inspiration, visualization, like you can, you know, why don't you go and read some fiction or fantasy? And look what people fantasize. I'm reading in a moment a book about magic. Well, magic. We're going to talk about magic also. What is magic really? There is nothing magic. It is just a different frequency that for us looks like magic. This is like when, for example, somebody who is a dancer, and you have trained a lot and a lot, and you are able to make figures or dancing in a way that others cannot. It looks for those who cannot do it like a miracle. And it's just because that's a different frequency. And again, that's what is happening now. So we have to go into ourselves. We cannot project past knowledge, past experience into the future now. This is not going to work again because we are shifting into a complete new paradigm. So with Moon and Sun in Aquarius and Leo, it is probably shaking your ego a lot, because how difficult is it to admit a mistake? You test yourself. How much problem do you have to admit you made a mistake? And when you look at the masses right now with this cognitive dissonance that is happening in the world, you see that a lot of people cannot admit they were wrong. And this is one big problem, because what we have to do now is to see that, especially the last few years, what happened was a big mistake. That this is something that those who went with the flow, we can say, who gave in and did what they were supposed to do, because it was said you have to do it, and just believe because somebody of authority said it, many of them have a very bad awakening now. But as I mentioned many times before, there is always hope. Once you're awake, once you recognize the problem, there is a solution, and you can find it. Whatever happened in the past, you can find a solution if you admit and look at the problem and not just try to avoid it and run away. So when we have Mercury here also in Aquarius, that means also Mercury actually represents the human being, not the sun. The sun is our consciousness. Look at Mercury. We have on top of Mercury, we have the moon. This is receiving. Then we have the circle. The circle represents the consciousness. This is like we receive information, we receive input from outside. We hear, we see, we smell. That is all the input. And then the cross underneath, the cross is materialization. Then whatever input what we have, what's coming in, we materialize something. Like it can be like, for me now, the spoken word, it can be written word, it can be art, it can be anything that you manifest. So this is in general how a human being works and functions. So it is more clever to look at when somebody say, I am this or I'm that, don't take the sun, because it's not. And even the ego or the personality that is represented by Mercury is not who you are. This is the role that you play here on Earth. That is your stage name, in a way, we can say. So once we understand that, we can see here with Aquarius that our whole functioning as a human being is shifting into another gear too. So it is the earth that is shifting, and with the earth, every living being on the planet has to shift. So of course, Saturn is confirming this. Saturn is here now to tell us there is no way around it. And now with Saturn in Aquarius, this is also another sign that things are falling apart now on the level of those who try to deceive humanity. Because even if you know all the negative ways of Saturn and evil and whatever, but in a way, remember that evil is just turned around the word live. Turn the letter around, and it is. And so also every planet here, we can say there is not one negative meaning. And often I hear that, oh, Saturn is the enemy. No, it's not. We need Saturn. We need death. We need an ending of something, that something new can come up. Like you see it in the garden, when the plants die, those who have winter in the winter, and then in the spring, everything comes up new. And this is what is happening now. It has to die. And Saturn moving into Aquarius is even accelerating the process. As you can see, what is happening in the world. Now we have Chiron together with Jupiter and Venus here in Pisces. Now Pisces is in the 10th house, and the 10th house is the goal that we have to reach. So when we look at this sequence of 2 weeks of a half turn of the moon till black moon, dark moon, and again, don't say new moon. This is not true. The new moon is the 3rd day after dark moon. Dark moon is the sun and the moon together. It's the lovemaking, it's the conception. And then the 3rd day afterwards is like, you know, when you have a pregnancy, it's like when it becomes visible. This is when the new crescent of the moon's coming up that we can see in the sky again. But generally at dark moon, we have at least 3 days. Actually, I count 5 days for the dark moon, the 2 days before the dark moon itself and the 2 days afterwards that we don't see the moon. And this is the phase where we don't see things, but this is the conception. So now, and then at full moon, it is like the whole visible result, and then it declines again. It's in a kind, we can say here is birth. Now, Neptune up here and the whole Pisces energy that we have in as a goal is, again, remember what I said about the 12th house. It is to let go everything before we can start the new. Now, healing is part of it. And we have here the green line here to the moon. This is a quincunx with Chiron and Jupiter. So this is now up to you if you want to heal. Chiron, as the mythological figure of the healer who had a horse lower body and a human upper body, which represents the animal in a way part of us, the physical part of us, and the spiritual part of it that is represented in the human upper part with Jupiter. Means that we have now to expand. We can expand our role as human beings, becoming more like gods and goddesses, having a human experience instead of human being striving to find God or the divine. Now, I have read a quote that actually really was puzzling me, and I didn't think of it in the same way. We are not human beings like on a spiritual search, but we are divine beings to try to adapt to a human way of behavior and a human way of life. So if you look at it from the other side, this makes a lot of sense. Once you identify with the I am, that you are a spiritual being, and you move beyond this boundary, see the horizontal line in Jupiter and the moon standing on top of it, say, move beyond. Saturn, the opposite. Here we have the moon here hanging underneath the horizontal line. That is that is you in the underworld. That is the dying process. Now that is when we have to get rid of all our ego, get rid of all our human attributes to become a god, a goddess again. And if you look at it from that side, it makes so much sense. And then Venus, the unconditional love. You see, Venus is similar like, Mercury, but without the moon on top of it. So Venus as the goddess of love means you create from outside of yourself. You don't need the input from the outer world as how the human being functions. Now just imagine the human being, if we identify with the human being, the persona, the personality, which the word persona is actually a mask, a costume in Latin. So this is our mask, our costume that we wear as a god or a goddess here to experience a human life. So with this moon removed, we have found the divine, the god, goddess within ourselves, and we start to create from inside out. And this is something that is within us, that we don't have to seek, that we don't have to go and look for, because that is that divine spark within us And nobody can take that away from you, because that is within you. See, that's why I don't agree with the chakra system. You don't have to open and close anything. And you know, when you remember the symbol of the snake in the Bible and all that symbols of the snake, I'm not completely convinced that this is what we are supposed to do or have. In my opinion, what I have experienced, and I have experienced the Kundalini rising, so I know what I'm talking about. It is an absolute bliss, and I was on cloud number 7 for a week or so, but it went away. I lost it. So where does it go? But since I'm connected with that heart center that I actually find as a principle in the Chinese Hara system or Dantian, it's like 3 centers that are within you. This is not going away. This is staying. And I can stabilize completely within this system. Well, you can check up somewhere. I made a video about chakras where I explained that a bit more closely. Or you can ask me, I can send it to you. So this is now here. Venus is when you have that divine spark, you recognize that divine spark, and you recognize that you are a divine being having a human experience and not the opposite way around. Then you will be able to manifest. Now see, here is manifesting out of the inner divine core. And that's why it's love. That's why it's unconditional love, because this kind of manifestation has no conditions. So this chart actually gives us a very, very powerful insight, also with the connection with Pluto, which is here just now. See, Pluto just, no, it's still on the last degree of Sagittarius. It gives us the chance to move beyond the paradigm of everything we have believed in, of everything we have heard, or what they try to brainwash into us as not powerful being. And this is why right now so many people are awakened and taking back their power, so that the dark hats, they have absolutely no chance. There are way too many people already on the light side that have taken over. But of course, it's, again, we have to clean out the whole earth first. And we can also see here with this karma aspect is coming here from Mars going to the node in Aries, so that we can say that the whole humanity, everybody is now in this process of the, we can say, the tower from Tarot. Remember the card? That the whole building of the old, the whole connection and understanding what the old was, is falling apart. And here again, MC Pisces, don't worry when you cannot see where you're going. That's okay, because nobody can see it. Nobody can really see what's happening on all levels and all fields of being human. Things will change. You know, it will be also for many so interesting to see that, like, for example, free energy is coming up, or other ways of moving forward. I don't think that in the future we go travel by airplanes, but that we might even be faster somewhere, because new systems are coming up that are much, much easier, much better, much environment friendly. And please don't fall for that stupid hoax of climate change. Yes, of course, the climate change happened, but not because of CO2. Considering that CO2 in the air is 0.038%. I just, you know, what makes me really stunned is really sometimes how stupid people are. How can they believe it? You can go anywhere online and find out what is the percentage of CO2 in the air. Okay, go ahead and check it out and know that all this bullshit about carbon dioxide is completely, yeah, out of the air, we can say. It's just not relevant. But we are in a climate change, but in a different way, because we have moved in the photon belt. in a different, our whole sun system is moving in a different energy in the cosmos. So that is what is the change. And we had changes before and after, and we always will have changes again. But what we have to get out is of now, see here the moon, get off the fear. The only fear we have to fear is fear itself. So please stop worrying. Take back your power. Take back your power, emotional, mental, and on a spiritual level, and start to manifest something different. Even if you don't know yet what it will be, you can get prepared. So if I know I have a journey ahead of me, what do? I kind of start to look into my wardrobe and start to look at things I have. Maybe I buy some new shoes, or maybe a jacket or whatever, even if I'm not sure what kind of the climate is exactly. I'm getting ready for whatever might come. And this is exactly what we have to do now, and not be fixated and in fear, whatever. We should be excited that what's coming is going to be better. And of course, I really admit that some people are horribly suffering in the moment, and what's going on in the world is very difficult for many. But remember, you have to choose how you want to experience that, and think about that. Why are certain people in certain places? It definitely has to do with the consciousness level, and it has something to do with what the soul has chosen to experience. And even if it's horrible, it might be exactly this horrible thing that happened to you, that this is what you needed to wake up. And I want to okay, let's stop sharing for a moment. I want to tell you a little story about people who were incarnated. So we can see that up there, they're still up there, say in heaven, and they are all the angels, and they line up for the new incarnation. And then was some observer, and he said, there is the booth for a celebrity, there is the booth for whatever. And why is not there at the booth for celebrities so many people? There's hardly anybody there. And then the angel who came with that person who wanted to know said, you know what? They don't want to be celebrities, because this is one of the worst path and the fastest path to hell. Look at that. So if you are just a normal, natural being, then you are here because you are here sent by the divine to experience being a human, and not the opposite way around. I hope that helps you a little bit to understand better what's going on in the moment. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And I'll talk to you again for the next moon reading. Thank you. Bye-bye.